Hello, everyone, and welcome to Battle of the Beats All Generation episode number 83. I'm Adam, and please ignore that light in the background. I did not notice that. This is obviously the Battle of the Beats All Generation episode number 83. This is the sixth battle of round two, and we got two more beasts fighting out for that one of those precious spots in round three. So, going over the beasts that are fighting, they both made it further than they did last time, as I believe they both died in round one in their original tournament. But let's introduce them. Representing Series 11, the New Age, the destroyer of Zephyr, the monster squid, in round one, it is Brutus, the Hound of Horror. I do love that name, Brutus. And representing Series 20, the Isle of Ghosts, the other dog-like beast, the killer of Diprox, the buzzing terror, also in round one. It is Rykar, the Firehound. So we got one doggy versus another doggy. The battle of the doggos. I actually adore dogs, so knowing that one of them has to die, I'm a bit upset. I don't really know which one I prefer out of these two, because one has the firepower, which I like, the other has the design, which I prefer. So it's hard to pick, but Battlefield would be the go-to rocky terrain, as always. And with that, let's get to the stats. We're going to start things off with Brutus. Brutus is a giant dog who hides in the fog of the marshlands of Henkerow. Some say he can actually turn into fog to evade capture or sneak up on his victims. He hovers in the air on huge leathery wings, which waft a suffocating stink. Brutus was made by the sorceress Kensa, using the blood of Epos, the flame bird. Brutus's abilities are fog manipulation and form. He can turn into fog and he can control fog. Flight, canine manipulation. He can control any nearby dogs. Fog breath. He can breathe light amounts of fog from his mouth and nostrils. Natural weaponry, sharp claws and fangs. Weaknesses, flammable fur and heart covered by weak flesh. Moving on to Rykar now. Let me go to that page in the diary, or the Bible. This giant dog is a terrifying opponent. Get too close and he can tear you to pieces with his cruel yellow teeth. Keep your distance and Rykar can pick you off with his fiery breath. A quester must stay focused and alert to prevail against this beast. Abilities are Fire Breath. He can launch fire from his mouth in the form of a jet or flames. These flames are the only things able to melt the rocks from the Shard Mountains, meaning his breath is either the only thing hot enough to melt the stones or has special properties which lets it melt the stones. Natural weaponry, enhanced strength, enhanced durability, and fire immunity. Weakness is ice manipulation. He can be frozen over by powerful enough ice attack. So, good. Actually, a very good weakness, because the chances of that happening are quite low with how many isolated beasts there are. But with that, we got Brutus versus Rykar. And for that, let's get into this fight. So as the chamber doors open, Rykar bounds out into the center of the arena, howling into that arena, just setting the atmosphere for the spectators to watch. And in the other side, an eruption of fog comes out of the main entrance, but the sky exit as well, and almost overpowers the entire arena. All the spectators are gagging at the smell of that fog. Rykar gets a good waft of it, and he too gags on it. But he doesn't back down, and he can hear the flap of leathery like wings. And out of the sky exit appears Rykar. Rykar howls into the arena as the fog clears, making Rykar and Brutus engage in eye contact. They both stare each other down. Rykar immediately shoots a fireball directly towards Brutus. Brutus jumps up and dives out of the way of the fog, of the fireball, and controls the fog to shroud Brutus and cause Rykar's sense of smell to be weakened because he's busy smelling up the fog, and his sight not be able to see Brutus. Brutus then lands on the ground and carefully makes his way towards Rykar. Brutus can see Rykar just fine. He's used to the smell of his fog, but Rykar is not. Rykar stands firm, ready, listening very carefully for any signs of where Brutus can be. Brutus, not wanting to make a sound, tries to sneak up behind Rykar. When he's behind Rykar, he stands on his hind legs and gets on top of Rykar's back, digging his claws into Rykar. Rykar roars in pain as the fiery mane is burning with anger and adrenaline. Brutus reels back from that, but still keeping his grip on Rykar. Brutus then flaps his wings to try and lift Rykar off the ground. He can barely do it, but Rykar's too heavy for him, so what Brutus does, he swings, sways, and chucks Rykar right into the wall of the arena. I almost fell off my chair doing that. Rykar hits the arena, gets back up, has a mild limp, but shoots a fireball directly where he was. Brutus is able to see that and dives out of the way just in time for the fireball to burn away any fog that's there, that gets in its path, and it hits the arena wall, causing splinters of the fire to just come in and disintegrate the fog, making the fog almost look like Swiss cheese. Rykar sees that and realizes that the fog can be cleared away with enough fire. So he builds up all the fire that he can and shoots a jet of flame into the fire, burning away the fog almost immediately. And there he is. Brutus and Rykar have made eye contact yet again. Rykar can feel his sense of smell reversing back to what it normally is, and he can still smell that disgusting stink that Brutus has. Brutus growls in aggression as Rykar is ready to attack. They both charge up towards each other, Brutus flying towards Rykar whilst Rykar bounds up, and they both collide in impact. Rykar jumping and pushing Brutus down to the ground. They start slashing, biting, and so much more as Brutus is causing a fog to shroud them, to take away Rykar's sight and smell again. However, Rykar's not going to make the same mistake twice. He's not going to let go of Brutus. When he slashes Brutus with one claw, he waits to slash him again before he removes that claw, just going for another slash. Brutus's claws, however, are so much sharper and slashes Brutus right on the chest. No, Brutus slashes Rykar right on the chest. He howls in pain, and in anger, he bites down on Brutus's shoulder, not flank. And whilst Brutus is howling in pain, he goes to bite down on Rykar's shoulder. They are both tearing and pulling, but then Rykar gets the idea. If Brutus can't exactly do anything when he bites down on the shoulder, he just had to keep pulling. Rykar, however, he builds up fire in his mouth and then shoots it point blank at Brutus's shoulder. Brutus then howls in pain as he pulls away from that fireball, which point blanked him right in the shoulder. He looks at his shoulder, seeing that it's singed and burnt beyond belief. He can see the fur that's around that area just casually spreading as it burns as well. Brutus looks up in Rykar with fear in his eyes for the first time this tournament. Rykar realizes he can win this. He shoots out a jet of flame towards Brutus. Brutus goes to fly away to get away from it, causing fog to shroud him. But Rykar's not giving in. He's making that jet of flame follow Brutus, disintegrate that fog as the flames is reaching Brutus, starting to burn the Brutus's back legs. Brutus is howling in pain, and right when he is getting distracted by trying to get away from Rykar, He doesn't look where he's going, and he collides right into the wall of the arena. Brutus tries to get on the perch to ready himself. However, Rykar charges up towards it, shoots a fireball directly towards Brutus, knocking him off the perch as he lands on the ground. Rykar then goes up to Brutus, digs his claws into Brutus's wings, and pulls him back with all the force that he has. Brutus howls in pain as his wings get pulled right off him, and Rykar builds up enough fire in his mouth to just point blank Brutus right in the head. Brutus's body then burns and burns as Brutus's howls are of agony. It's making all the spectators wince in pain, feeling sympathy for Brutus. And Rykar finish it by using his claws and slashing out Brutus's heart. Brutus's cries of pain fade away. Rykar, satisfied with the victory, makes his way back to his chamber, ready for round 3. So that, Rykar has won, Brutus has lost. You think Brutus won, please in the comments below. I think that, however, my word's final and Rykar's moving on. Now, whilst I do believe Brutus had a chance, Brutus' weakness is fire, and Rykar is known as the Fire Hound. It's an obvious matchup in my opinion, and I gave Brutus as much of a chance as I can to try and win. However, I don't see a way in which he could win this, so I had to give the victory to Rykar. I will say though, I actually think I did a good job with narrating that fight. I made it seem so intriguing, like something's actually going to happen and Brutus is going to surprise all of us. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So with that being said, that's all for this time. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, press this notification button down below, and I'll see you next time.